Myself, RiAnna May, and Kyle Swanson are going to be talking about a young mother who experienced a speed bump in her life when she was suffering through too much stress. The side effects she had were uncommon, but many people go through telltale signs of excessive stress. Her name has been changed to protect her identity. On the surface, Kim is the typical working mom, but about 6 months ago, she endured a major physical complication. Life was telling her to slow down. She was trying to balance too many things in her life, and it all became too much. Not that she is the exception. Any mother with a 19-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter, and a full-time job isn't by any means stress-free. However, Kim carried enough stress to have it become not only a mental burden, but a dangerous physical one as well. To relieve some of the stress, Kim tried to run it off, but obviously that didn't work.
So running 3 or 4 times a week helped, but I didn't realize that there was a lot more going on, and so I was pretty much stressing out because of my son and some things that he had been going through. And so I think it was a buildup. So I ended up having a migraine, which I didn't know at the time. I was sitting in Melissa's room talking to her just about, I'm not sure exactly what we were talking about, but I remember telling her that I wasn't feeling well and I was feeling kind of hot. And so I kind of knelt down by her bed as I was talking to her. And then the last thing I remember, I passed out.
You said I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me, when a moment came that stopped me on a dime.
Not only did Kim's stress create a critical situation for herself, but it impacted her whole family as well. Her daughter Beatrice felt much of the impact because she witnessed the accident. Many people around her were very concerned when the doctors originally thought it was a stroke, but the news that it was only a migraine didn't exactly lift a weight off their shoulders. The word migraine may be used lightly in everyday context, but an aura migraine is incredibly more serious than a bad headache. This kind of migraine can cause sensory, motor, or verbal disturbances. Kim experienced one of the rarest forms of an aura migraine, called dysphasic aura, which compromised her ability of speech and caused a minor form of paralysis on one side of her body. Many of these symptoms are similar to that of a stroke, so when Beatrice heard the doctors explain the possibilities, she was a little shaken up.
And I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance.
The first thing that they had said, or that I could hear when they were talking, was stroke. So that was the first thing that came to mind, and that is when I started thinking about like all the possible, like what that meant, and I didn't really know, like, but then they would say stuff like, use words like permanent and effects and stuff like, and I think that's what, like I said, scared me the most, because I don't know, I was just in so much shock that I didn't know what that meant, if she would be able to talk again, what would happen. And then after that she lost, like, she could not feel her whole right side of the body, and she would like open her mouth to say stuff, and you could tell she was trying to like talk to us, but she like nothing, like a bunch of weird noises would come out, and the nurse was trying to talk to me and ask me about like questions, just my mom's name and like things like that, to try to get all of her information down. And I think the worst part was the fact that some of the questions they were asking, like, I think I probably should have known, but I just didn't.
Stress contributes to physical conditions more than you would think. According to a report by Healthy People magazine in 2000, 50% of all illnesses in the United States were stress-related. This shows that stress is very common in the U.S. Not all people that experience symptoms are as severe as Kim's, but some side effects are present. Of the 50% of stress-related illnesses, family is often a trigger. Based on data collected from the American Psychological Association, 54% said that fighting with people close to them is a leading cause of their stress. Kim was, unfortunately, one of these people. Leading up to the migraine, she was dealing with some issues with her son and frequently fighting with him. Once Kim realized that the migraine was an effect of being overly stressed, she took it upon herself to slow down. But eventually, she resorted back to her old ways.
Really, if anything, I didn't hit it so hard when I went back to work. I was pretty much, I'm just going to do what I need to do and then go home and rest. And so it was a lot different than my normal, 9+ hour day. And I've kind of resorted back to that a little bit, but I'm reminded now of, not being so stressed out and working all the time.
Stress is something that people tend to get used to. It is also something that very few people take seriously. But after learning about the occurrences in Kim's life, we can see that there are potentially serious consequences. Stress is a natural part of life, but in excessive amounts it can lead to unusual and sometimes serious side effects. Worrying about people that you care for is a common cause of stress, but it is something that needs to be controlled before it becomes a very serious matter.